morning. Back with our classes on reproduction. We had done all the asexual methods of reproduction such as binary fission, multiple fission. Binary fission we did in what? Binary fission in amoeba in any plane, leishmania in vertical plane or a fixed plane. Then we did multiple fission in plasmodium. We did fragmentation in Spirogyra, and we said fragmentation should not be done with complex organisms because complex organisms are not just a random collection of cells. Each cells perform a particular function. They combine to form tissue, tissue into organs, and organs into organ system. So if you cut the organism or apply fragmentation to a complex organism, it is practically not possible because each cell, tissue or an organ has a particular function and will not regrow into a new organism. Then after that we studied budding. We studied budding in yeast, budding in hydra, and even we said 3 organisms we said, no? Just check yeast and hydra or yeast, hydra and planaria. Yeast and hydra only, no budding? So when you studied budding in hydra, you said that there is a group of cells which accumulate on the body of hydra, which is, we call it as bud. That bud completely grows into a new organism, and when its growth process is complete, it detaches itself from the parent body and thus forms a new hydra. Fine. Now after that we also studied regeneration. We said regeneration is basically seen in planaria. Regeneration happens that when the main organism cuts itself into multiple parts and each part grows into a new organism. We do not consider regeneration to be a great method of reproduction because no organism would like to cut itself and kill itself and grow into a new organism. After that, we studied vegetative propagation. In vegetative propagation, we said it is considered to be one of the best methods because you can grow plant from the vegetative parts of the plant such as stem, root and leaf. In case of Bryophyllum, it is vegetative propagation through leaf. In potato, it is through stem. And we also saw plants such as jasmine, orange, grapes, banana, which have all lost their ability to grow through seeds, grow through vegetative propagation. There are multiple methods such as layering, which we generally do it in case of bougainvillea, creepers, where we bring the main stem to the soil, put it in the soil for about 20 to 30 days, and from the nodes what appear? Roots appear. So this is called as what? Layering. Then we said we even do cutting, which is mainly in case of plants like hibiscus, rose, etc. Then we talked about grafting. We said that the main plant is called as the stalk. The plant whose characteristics we desired is called as the scion. The stalk and scion are peeled. They are tied together and some mud is applied over it. Roots grow within a span of 20 to 30 days and a new branch will arise from the place where you have grafted. From that place, whichever is the branch which comes out, it will have flowers and fruits of the desired characteristics. So this is all about vegetative propagation. And now we have to study what is tissue culture. A golden box is adar munde baridi. Define tissue culture. And for which plants this technique is used. Define tissue culture and for which plants this technique is used. Okay, so now let us understand what is tissue culture. Tissue culture is beautifully done in Mysore. Mysore is one of a very growing hubs of tissue culture. I don't know if you would have heard of something called as biodiesel. Okay, biodiesel basically is a diesel which is evolved from the plant, and which plant we get is Jatropha. Okay, there's a Jatropha plant whose fruits are generally used to generate biodiesel. where we do a lot of tissue culture. Tissue culture is also done for banana. Okay, banana will be at very small height, you will get big gone of banana, that is also for tissue culture. Lot of ornamental plants are grown by tissue culture. So what exactly we do is, we take from the existing plant, which is of a very good quality, some tissue from it. Okay, the tissue culture scientists will know which tissues to take. Okay, so what we take is, if the plant is very healthy, its yield is fantastic, and we don't want that plant's life to go. We want much more babies of the same type of plant whose yield is very good. So what we do, we take some cells or some tissues of that particular plant and put it in a medium which has got a lot of nutrition. Agar anta antili. So that medium basically acts as a gel. It is done in a petri dish, small glass plate. It is filled with that medium, and this group of cells which we have extracted from the plant will be put into that solution. After few days, the cells multiply and they start growing in the form of a kutti plant or a very small plant which is called as plantlet. This plantlet, because see, from the seed to the plantlet stage, lot of seeds get lost because some are diseased, some are eaten away by insects and other things. So to save all that, this is being done in lab in a disease-free environment. After the plantlet go to a certain height, and you know that after this the plant generally won't die, it is taken from the lab and put it in the soil. So you will have much yield, you will have no loss in the plantlet stage. So this is mainly done in case of ornamental plants. I don't know if you have heard a lot of Tengin Mara coming at a very small height and all that. So these are all done by what culture? Tissue culture. Okay, so let us read through it. In tissue culture, new plants are grown by removing tissue or separating cells from the growing tip of a plant. Underline that, growing tip. The cells are then placed in an artificial medium where they divide rapidly to form group of cells called as callus. The callus is transferred into another medium containing hormones for growth and differentiation. The plantlets are then transferred to the soil so that they can grow into mature plant. Using tissue culture, many plants can be grown from one parent in disease-free condition. This technique is mainly used for the growth of ornamental plants. So once again I will tell you, from the growing tip of the plant, which has got what tissue? Which tissue is present in the growing tip of the plant? Apical? Meristem. So meristematic tissue. This tissue is taken and it is put into a petri dish which contains some nutritive medium. Here it grows into a group of cells. This group of cells is called as what? Callus. Now from here, the callus is transferred into a next petri dish which contains hormones. And now these callus, which we put here, constantly multiply and grow into what? A plantlet. Fine. This plantlet is removed and then put into what? Soil. So this is what is called as what? Tissue culture. Understood? Tissue culture. The first thing what? Take cells from the tip of the plant, growing tip of the plant, which is what cell? Apical meristem in most of the cases. Put it into a petri dish which contains some nutritive medium. Here it grows into a group of cells or a ball of cells which is called as what? Callus. Transfer this callus into another petri dish which contains hormones and nutritive medium. Here, from the callus, it grows into a very small plant called as what? Plantlet. This is called what? Plantlet. And this plantlet is then transferred into the soil so that it can grow into a mature plant. This is called as done for plants, ornamental plants. Clear? So tissue culture, apical group of cells converts itself into a ball of cells called callus, which is then transferred into a nutritive medium or into hormones. The hormones help in growth, and the callus gets converted into plantlet, and plantlets are then converted and put in, or plantlets are then planted into the soil so that it can grow into a mature plant. Clear? Tissue culture. So tissue culture is mainly done only for plants whose yield is very, very good, because you take apical cells from the good plant, not from a diseased plant. Now the last is what? Spore formation. If I leave the bread open, I generally get a coating of a brown colored substance on it. That is basically called as bread mold or rhizopus. Okay, so we generally talk about the bread with spore formation. So what we say is, if I leave the bread open and if I leave the bread open, I will find there will be some brown layer, which if you very beautifully take out with the help of the knife, whole thing will come out. Okay, generally we don't have that much of patience, so we rub it with hand and then give it to the beautiful street dog. Okay, so as a result of it, what we do here is, we generally see if the bread is left open in presence of moisture and an optimum temperature. In our kitchen counters only, there will be development of a mold, which is called as what mold? Bread mold. And this bread mold technically is called as what? Rhizopus. Rhizopus multiplies by a completely different technique, which is called as what formation? Spore formation. These are like very small plants which will at the end have their reproductive tissue or reproductive cell, which is called as spores. And inside it you will find that there will be very small spores. Okay, microscopic spores will be present. So this is called as sporangium, and inside it there are present what? Many spores, hundreds and millions of spores. The moment and it increases to this size very fast. Okay, what happens after that is, when it finds unfavorable conditions, it will grow into the sporangia, and sporangia will contain lot of spores. When you are dusting it out and when you are throwing it back, it goes back into the air in the form of thin filamentous structures. These sporangia, when they are completely mature, they burst open and release millions of spores. These spores, as they are very thick celled, they stay in the environment without any damage. When they get optimum conditions such as food, temperature and moisture, they grow into a new bread mold. Method spore formation is considered to be better because these spores, being thick celled, can stay dormant without life for a long period of time, and when they get optimum conditions, they grow into a new bread mold. Understood? Diagram important. Figure 8.6 to be drawn. Even in many simple multicellular organisms, specific reproductive parts can be identified. The thread-like structures that developed on the bread above are the hyphae of the bread mold hidden. This part, the thread-like structures, what you call, it is called as what? Hyphae. Okay, they are not reproductive parts. On the other hand, tiny blob on a stick structures are involved in reproduction. The blob are sporangia. This part is called what? Sporangia. This sporangia contains what? It contains spores. So, if rhizopus has to be drawn, you have to draw this entire structure. It will also have some amount of root here. This you draw the fungal hyphae, sporangia and spores, which contain cells or spores that can eventually develop into new rhizopus. Please underline that part. The spores are covered with thick walls. The spores are covered with thick walls that protect them until they come into contact with another moist surface and begin to grow. So spore formation is considered as one of the best methods because these spores, when released, as they have thick cells or they are thick walled, they do not lose or die. They remain in the atmosphere or in the environment for a long duration of time, and when they get optimum conditions, that is moisture and temperature and lot of food, they grow into a new rhizopus. All the modes of reproduction that we have discussed so far allow new generation to be created from single individual. This is known as what? Asexual reproduction. So just turn your pages back and see if you know all methods of asexual reproduction. Then we will go to the question and start with sexual mode of reproduction. ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರಿ, I'll get a flower, hibiscus. ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ sexual reproduction ಇಲ್ಲ. Stop ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ. So today we have to study now sexual reproduction in flower or sexual reproduction in plants. So the flowers basically are the reproductive organs. It generally starts from the formation of a bud. So if you can look and you can see it, this is called as the stalk of the flower. Okay, the base is called as the petiole, receptacle. This is called as the stalk of the flower. This is called as the receptacle where the flower sits and flowers. See, this part becomes its receptacle. Okay, this basic chota green color part which it will have. And then if you look here, this is the receptacle part, chota thing which you can see. And then you can see those green colored structures. These green colored structures which are present are called sepals. See, the basic part, this is called the stalk. On the stalk, you have very thin structures which are called as the receptacle. And on that receptacle, you have one crown-shaped green colored structure which is called as sepal. Okay, these sepals, when dissected, you will find they look like crown and they are joined. So all the joined sepals are called as what? Calyx. Okay, so let us remove one and see. Idral nodi kanisutta neatly stalk, receptacle, and this part is what? Calyx. Now let us cut that calyx and see. I don't know if it comes out properly. See, it comes in the form of a completely joined structure which is called as what? Calyx. Right? The single thing is called as what? Sepal. The complete thing is called as what? Calyx. You can see calyx is in the form, exactly same thing. See, this calyx exactly looks like this. It is a crown-shaped structure which is completely joined. It is called as sepal. It is mainly used to protect the bud at its initial stage. There was a bud here. No, this actually it has come out now, the petals. But when it is small, the sepals completely cover the colored part. Now these things which are colored are called as what? Petals. The petals are colored. Let us suppose it comes here like this. So these are our petals. These petals are colored because they have to attract insects for pollination. So the petals of all the flowers are colored, and it basically requires that color to attract insect for pollination. Most of the flowers are either yellow odd number, 3 petals called primaries, 5 petals called pentamerous, and grandparents during regarding jasmine, they will say 5 suttin mallige, 7 suttin mallige. That is nothing but number of petals. If it is 3, it is called trimeris, 5 called pentameris, and 7 called septameris. Let us see this hibiscus. We have 1. So इसको थोड़ा चीर हरण करते हैं picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Clear? So hibiscus basically is what plant? Pentameris. And all petals, when they are joined together, it is called corolla. Clear? Once again, what did I say? Stalk. This thing what is still present is called receptacle. Then on it starts sepal. All sepals taken together is called calyx. Sepals are green in color and they basically help the flower to be protected in its bud stage. From it grows what? Petals. These petals are brightly colored to attract insect for pollination. Now pollination can be of 2 types. What are the 2 types of pollination? Self-pollination and cross-pollination. If the male organ and the female organ are from the same flower, it is called as what? Self-pollination. If it is from different flowers, it is called as what? Cross-pollination. Now let us talk about the male part of the flower, which is called as androecium. Okay? So the male part of the flower, you can see lot of these structures. Can you see the chota structures? I think here it is very clear. Can you see here these yellow colored structures which are hanging onto a small tube? These are called as what? Male part. Male part basically is you have a small long filamentous structure. Along it you have a small head like this which is very sticky and it contains what? Pollen grains, and this is called as what? Stamen. Stamen. It has got what? An anther sac. It has got anther, which is nothing but pollen grains. So I don't know if you can see, but if I remove one, you will come to know. So you can remove that in the house and see it has got one small white colored stick and yellow thing on the top. This top is very sticky and powdery. So this is what is called as the pollen grain. So the stamen is the male reproductive part. It consists of a stalk or a small stamen and it has got a bulb like that which has pollen grains in it. Now for the female part. When you talk about the female part, which is called as the gynoecium, the female part basically consists of an ovary. And this ovary then continues into a style, which is a long tube-like structure and which ends up into a sticky filamentous structure which is called what? Stigma. Stigma, style, ovary. ठीक है? अब एक का हम आपको निकाल के दिखाते हैं. Shit, I broke the stigma. Can you see this part? This is the stigma part of it. Okay, and this is the style part. Fine, and इसका ovary भी निकाल के दिखाते हैं. Can you see something? It can't be there, Nodi. I don't know if you can see. This part is the ovary. So you all will show you here only. Can you see this blue part, which is the color? This is the ovary. See. This is the ovary. That white color thing which is coming out is the pollen tube, which I will explain now. See. This is the ovary and you do not put a ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮೇಲ್ಪಾರ್ಟ್. Stigma have broken, sticky part, okay? You see this? This is the ovary. Okay, this is the side. And the top one is stigma. Okay? This is the ovary. Right? So clear? The female part of the flower is ovary, style and stigma. The main part is this. Right? Now what happens during self-pollination or cross-pollination? If the pollen grains of the same flower goes and sticks onto the stigma of the same flower, it is called what? Self-pollination, which happens because of insect, air or water. Okay, but suppose it is a different plant, pollen grain comes and attaches to the stigma of the other flower, it is called as what pollination? Cross-pollination. So during sexual reproduction, the pollen grains from either self-pollination or by cross-pollination reach the stigma of the flower. Okay? The moment it reaches the stigma of the flower, then what it does it forms a small tube-like structure which is called as the pollen tube. What it forms? It forms a pollen tube. And through this pollen tube, 2 pollen grains reach the egg. Through this pollen tube, 2 pollen grains reach the egg. One of them fertilizes with the egg and forms the zygote. One of them fertilizes with the egg and forms the zygote, and this is called as what gamete? Syngamy. The other one fertilizes with 2 polar nuclei. The polar nuclei andre enu? See, during cell division or during the formation of the reproductive tissue, many chotu eggs are formed, but only one grows into a big egg and the others are left aside with it. Those cells which could not form into the egg are called what nuclei? Polar nuclei. These 2 polar nuclei fertilizes with another pollen grain because there are 3 things fusing together. It is called as what? Triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion together is called as what fertilization? Double fertilization. So in plants we have what fertilization? Double fertilization. What is double fertilization? The pollen grain from either the same flower or from a different flower by self-pollination or cross-pollination reach what? Stigma of the flower. It forms what tube? A pollen tube. Through the pollen tube, 2 pollen grains reach the egg. One of them fertilizes with the egg and forms the zygote, and this process is called as what gamete? Syngamy. The other pollen grain fertilizes with 2 polar nuclei and it is called as what fusion? Triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion taken together is called as what fertilization? Double fertilization. Clear? Understood? Once again, here the pollen grain, which is the male reproductive part, reaches the female reproductive part, that is stigma, and that is why stigma is sticky, so that the pollen grain should stick on it when the insect sits on it with its legs, wings or anything. So basically it reaches the stigma and it forms what tube? A pollen tube. This pollen tube brings 2 pollen grains to the ovary or to the egg. One of them fertilizes with the egg and forms the zygote. This is called as what gamete? Syngamy. The other pollen grain fertilizes with the 2 polar nuclei and forms, and it is called as what? Triple fusion. Syngamy and triple fusion taken together is called as double fertilization. And you will find that when that happens and the cells multiply, you will finally see it getting converted into the fruit. I can show you the starting part here because sometimes the flower breaks when you are doing it without proper tools. I am cutting it like one quack, the flower, okay? I don't know if it happens, let us see. You should have needle, proper blade and all. मैं तो प्रांजल का चाकू से काट रही हूँ एकदम. See how well protected they will be. I don't know. Let us see if it comes. In between I can show. पूरा नहीं दिखता. I broke that also. Where you cut only you come to know. Can you see this? ये कट माड़ी लाइते. Wait. Can you see that tube? This white color tube, which is going. Can you see this part here? This one. This is the pollen tube, which is going inside. Okay. Can you see this? This part is our pollen tube, which is also on the top, which is also below. If I cut now, बीच से कट जाएगा. And this was our 10 mark practical in 10th. That time also we used to use quick fix and put that. And our teacher used to come and put this like this. And we would know that it has broken. See, can you see this part? This is your pollen tube. जाके निकालो, you get it. एक hibiscus layer बनेगा देखिए and cut from it. So I hope if you can also see, this is your pollen tube. Make it go up, see it down. It should reach the stigma and it should reach the ovary. Dissect it. Okay? So this is all about what? Double fertilization in plants. Today we will study till here and tomorrow we will continue further. Thank you.